So today with Brent, we were really working on the setting and that forward step and right? See, he didn't go forward there. Exaggerating the forward movement. Yep.
What do I do if it's behind me? There's a couple where it's like...
Hard to take the ball behind you. Got to keep the ball on the forehead. And that's something we discussed with Brent later in the practice was the hat. When your hat is that far, because his ball should be right on the brim of his hat, right on the bill of his hat. But it's coming away so far away from him. It's outside of his, it's almost going to land on his belly button instead of on his forehead. But then look at it's below his chin, which, not the worst. But then also no forward step either, which is the really critical part of this practice, was the footwork. The hands will kind of come, but the footwork was the really critical part for Brent today. So good finish, and then you see the step after. We want him to step through. And the difference of that double shuffle where I'm moving, and you see I take the ball at the letter A, and my body finishes on the other side of acai on the reading the net there. Right, so my body's moving almost a whole yard as I contact that ball. And now let's see if Brent picks it up in this rep here. Much better, right? First one. Rome wasn't built in a day. These things take a little bit of time. Okay. Oh, that one had good rhythm. That one had good rhythm. A little walk into it. But boom. Still a tad far away from him. But you can see that one is almost in the exact same spot. But now his rhythm makes it look a little bit smoother. Makes it look a little bit nicer. Location comes out better as well. Flat. And that's where we have that absence of that step, and you can see it doesn't come out as high as it needs to. So right here, we've got Brent doing that good shuffling drill, and I just want him working forward, 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 always stepping through the ball, not letting the ball do that equal opposite reaction, but forcing your inertia and momentum onto the ball. Let's see what Scott's doing here. I think he's focusing on hitting line from the right side. Yeah.
Scott, switch one with me here.
So making that turn earlier, even on an inside set, right? He chased forward and then turned and went left and messed himself up. On this one, I'm going to go left first, instantly, yep, and then I'm going to go forward after. I'm still going left at the end. You can see that little deviation. There's going to be a little deviation, a little bit of left right there as I get closer, yep. But I'm still maintaining forward momentum and looking to drive the back of the ball forward. So sliding left and making sure that the forward momentum is there, as opposed to having the momentum bringing you left where you don't have anything. A little better set. Still driving the back of the ball forward. So I see Brent working the forward steps on those 1 and 2 there. And much better for Scott to drive the ball forward. Good pause and staying behind it. The set worked out in his favor. There was no movement left. There's a movement left. You can see he's holding for the setter, for Brent, the setter there. You can see by his feet flipping like that. You can see he's trying to make his momentum go forward, but he's overarching his back. So on that intake position there, you can see the ball is not fully in front of him. He's still letting that ball get in front of his chin and taking it too far forward. Or does it come in here? Yeah. If he could be already stepped forward, we want to already have that foot forward. So just late on that foot and not getting that forehead to the ball. Good pass. Good set. Nope, not a good set. Oh, this is where we switched to the backwards hat. Because of that last freeze frame we saw that the hat might have been getting in the way. And so I recommended switching to a backwards hat, because sometimes the bill of the hat can get in the way. Here I'm talking about falling forward and maintaining that momentum. So sometimes the ball drops too low and you still have to go forward. It doesn't matter if your legs aren't there. If the ball drops too low, now that I'm contacting it and I'm forcing the momentum to go forward, and I don't have any legs underneath me, my body is completely on the other side of my feet. You can see where my foot is planted into the ground and all of my weight is forward and going forward. And there's nothing to stop me. There's nothing to slow me down. And that's fine because the ball's going that way and I can get up later. And I always call that the fall Dahlhauser set, because Phil Dahlhauser always would fall down. And I don't know if it's because his teammates couldn't pass high enough for the gigantic blocker setter, or if he just liked the trajectory that he would get and the little extra momentum. But the fall Dahlhauser set, everybody should have that one in their bag. There's a good exaggerated forward movement. Yeah, you see that he's forcing that fall forward and his balance is going forward, which is exactly what we need to have here. The calves and the ankles, a big part of helping that balance go forward. You see the shift, right? I don't stay in the same exact spot. I move 1 or 2 inches forward as I make that movement. Good job, Brent. Good job, Brent. Yeah, 1 or 2 inches forward on that movement. Very nice. Maybe that's a little too much, but I don't think so. Okay, so this is a practice where Scott was working on keeping his right leg back and his right arm forward. The big emphasis was the legs today. I'm watching this film back a couple weeks later, and I remember from this practice our entire focus was on the legs and the lower body and getting this position and reinforcing and trying to contact the ball from this position. So one thing I can see already is that he's building the muscle memory here, but he's not looking at the ball. You can see his eyes are straight forward. I want to see the head a little bit more vertical, eyes on the ball, but otherwise arms and legs are good. But when you're building muscle memory, the point is to train it with the body and the brain and the eyes so that you can look at the ball and not think. Otherwise, if you have to add one more muscle, then it just gets a little bit more complicated. But the focus today with Scott was for the legs, keeping the right leg back on his step close. His counterpart, Brent, was working on this setting and stepping through and following through. And you're going to hear me say good set for Brent a lot here. Yeah, it's a good rep for Brent. The setter there, it's a good set. Happy with the step through, a little bit low, but happy with the legs. Set's a little low for Scott. It's hard to tell in the first rep. Here we go into that second rep, bad set. Doesn't make much sense. But he can still preserve that ball and keep it inside of him. Right here, right, as soon as he turns his chest towards the ocean, his left leg is going and facing towards the ocean there. He's already going to be in a bad spot. He's got to have to keep his left foot back in towards the setter, facing the setter, and then be backing up, because now his whole body is facing the wrong way and he's chasing the ball as opposed to keeping it in front of his chest. And then you get kind of like a backwards slappy across as opposed to any sort of hit or chest or a little tap over. And so here with Scott, I'm just reinforcing how to get that hip swivel and swivel that back leg around and cut in more. And I just want to make sure that he's getting more into the angle, pointing that left hip, that left pocket, bringing that iliac crest forward, and just a little bit more dynamic. So you see that's not enough. Yeah, it's got to cut further in to make sure that that right hip stays back. You've got to exaggerate that swivel. And watching this back a couple weeks later, my biggest takeaway is that I'm using my arms even when I'm focusing on my legs. I'm using my arms here to make my legs go faster. And you'll see Scott in these practice reps not use his arms at all. All right, he's just kind of holding them sideways, and it's actually fighting against his momentum. So the next week, we're gonna focus really heavily on adding in the arms, because I watched this video a couple of times between our practices. And so you see the arms not connecting with the step close there. And he starts to do stuff with the arms because he realizes he has to subconsciously, but he needs to consciously be driving those arms. But it's hard to focus on arms and legs. So like I said, the big focus was for the legs and getting the feet right, but we do need to connect the arms and legs. First rep out of talking. Good set. It's just late for Scott, the hitter. Right, he's way late. He needs to be way earlier. And then that's an interesting jumping position. Right, he's going opposite, left, right, and those knees are jumping out of a weird spot there. His actual attack position is not too bad. The ball is low. His arm is in the right spot. The ball's low, so he can't really hit it high. Good set from Brent there. Weird. Not what we're looking for to Scott. Good set. Yeah, you're going to hear me say good set a lot. With Scott, though, the hitter, this is what we're trying to avoid, is he gets into these spots where he is facing too far to the line. How are you ever going to hit the ball back to the angle from this position? And so this is a difficult position that we're trying to correct. And how did we get here? It's that same left, right, knees together, jumping sideways. She's going to jump off the ground and head to his right, screen left, back towards the middle of the court, and contact the ball inside and then hit it back to the left, going against his body, going against the set, away from it all. We'd rather be going with it and keeping that chest in perspective or into the court. Slow hands from Brent. Good process. Just way too long of a contact. That ball's in there for a minute and a half. But good step. Just want to be faster. And that's a better rep for the hitter. Yeah, we can see that freeze frame is way different than the other one. He's facing into the ball. He's keeping that chest back into the court, which is exactly what we're trying to do. Going angle on the inside set. And we can always use the hand to turn the ball. And how did we get there? A little pause. And we're getting that good swivel. Right, look at the right foot is planted. Here come the hips. The hips come around. They could come further, but we are getting the left foot in front. We are getting the chest to where we want it. Hips could be a little more, but compared to the other one, it's a huge progress. It's a huge fix. A great correction. Yeah, that's the old one. That's what we want to avoid. Better. Yeah, as we get towards the end of the rack here, the last one or two I was really happy with. That's good rhythm. And we can see how the arms are connected, right? Arms go up at the same time as they need to. Arms and legs are going together. Everything is extending vertical in that moment, right? Toes is extending, getting taller, taller, taller. Bang. No follow through. Bang. Smack that thing. Follow through. Whack that ball.